The war had lasted for 7 long years. Millions of lives were lost and both sides were tired. Earth's fleets had been holding the line against the Valari Empire, a race known for their sharp intelligence, tall figures, and glowing blue eyes. Every battle ended with more destruction and less hope. It was not victory anyone wanted anymore. Both sides needed peace, but no one trusted the other to take the first step. Captain Ryan Hale had never been a diplomat. He was a soldier, a man who preferred direct orders and clear missions. Yet when the call came from the Earth Council asking him to represent humanity at the peace talks, he accepted without hesitation. His friends said he was too plain for such a task. Maybe that was why he was chosen. He was honest, calm, and never played games. The Council believed that might help him speak from the heart. The peace conference was set on a massive orbital station circling Jupiter. It was neutral territory, watched by both human and Valari observers. The day Ryan arrived, the atmosphere was tense. Valari ships surrounded the station in perfect formation, their silver hulls shining against the gas giant's clouds. Human ships floated nearby, darker and more angular, like blades waiting in silence. Inside the station, the air felt heavy. Soldiers stood along every corridor, their faces cold and distant. The meeting hall was wide and tall, its walls covered with banners of both nations. A long table stood at the center, half in blue light for the Valari, half in white for the humans. Every small detail reminded Ryan how fragile this moment was. He wore a simple gray uniform, polished but not ceremonial. In his hand, he carried a small metal thermos. The others had come with data files and negotiation documents. Ryan came with coffee. It was a habit he refused to give up, even here. When he entered the hall, he noticed her at once. The Valari queen, Alira, sat on the far side of the table surrounded by her guards and advisors. She looked younger than he expected. Her silver-white hair framed a calm, thoughtful face, and her eyes glowed faintly blue. She wore armor that shimmered like glass, marked with symbols of her empire. Around her, silence followed like a shadow. Even her own people spoke softly when near her. Ryan walked to his seat without looking away. As he sat down, he opened his thermos, poured coffee into a small cup, and took a sip. The aroma spread through the room, cutting through the sharp scent of metal and polished stone. Every Valari eye turned toward him. The guards tensed, hands on their weapons. Ryan could almost feel the warning in the air. He met the queen's gaze and smiled politely. "Would you like some?" he asked, holding up a second cup. The translator on his wrist repeated the words in the Valari tongue. A whisper ran through her delegation. One of her advisors leaned close, clearly trying to stop her. Sharing food or drink with another species was not a Valari custom. It was considered risky, even insulting in formal talks. But Alira raised a hand to silence him. She studied Ryan for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she said, "What is it?" "Coffee," he replied. "It helps with long conversations." The translator repeated the word. The queen tilted her head slightly. "I have heard of it. A human drink, bitter." "Sometimes," Ryan said. "But it wakes you up." The room remained frozen. Alira's gaze dropped to the steaming cup he offered. Finally, to everyone's surprise, she stood, crossed the table, and accepted it. A faint trace of warmth spread across her normally calm features as she brought the cup to her lips and tasted it. Her eyes widened slightly. Then she smiled, small but real. "It is strong," she said. Ryan nodded. "That's how humans like it." The silence broke. The human side exchanged cautious glances while the Valari seemed confused. The tension in the air lightened just a little. The first words between the two leaders had not been about weapons, trade, or control, but about something ordinary. Something simple. For a moment, it was not two enemies sitting at a table. It was two people sharing a drink. Alira returned to her seat. "Let us begin," she said. The hours that followed were long. Both sides presented their terms and grievances. The Valari wanted compensation for the destroyed colonies. The humans demanded the return of captured prisoners and safe passage for trade routes. Every issue brought new arguments. Ryan listened carefully, rarely speaking, but when he did, his words were calm and direct. He did not try to win the debate. He only tried to understand. During a short break, Alira approached him again. Her guards followed closely, but she waved them to stay back. "You are not like the others," she said. "You speak plainly." "I'm not a diplomat," Ryan said. "I just want this to end." Her eyes searched his face. Humans always speak of peace after they fight. Is that regret or strategy? Maybe both, he replied. We learn better when it hurts. That answer seemed to surprise her. She looked down at the empty coffee cup still in her hand. Your drink, she said softly, is bitter, but it stays warm. Ryan smiled. That's the secret. Bitterness doesn't last when you hold on to the warmth. For the first time, she laughed. It was quiet and short, but genuine. Several Valari advisors exchanged uncertain glances. No one could remember the last time their queen had laughed in a council chamber. When the talks resumed, something had changed. The tone of the room softened. The queen's questions were less sharp. Ryan noticed that she would sometimes glance at him before speaking, as if searching for honesty before politics. He never interrupted her, but when she finished, he always responded with respect. Other delegates began to follow their example. By the end of the first day, no treaty was signed, but there was hope. Small, fragile, but real. That evening, Ryan stood near the viewing window of the station. Jupiter filled the sky beyond, its storm swirling in silent power. The sight always humbled him. He heard soft footsteps behind him. When he turned, he saw the queen standing there alone. You should rest, Captain, she said. Tomorrow will be difficult, he nodded. Peace always is. She stepped closer, her reflection shimmering in the glass beside his. I was told humans drink this coffee every morning. Is that true? Yes, it helps us think. Some say it helps us feel human. She looked curious. Would you share it again tomorrow? He smiled. I'd be honored. She gave a short nod. Then we will start the next meeting with your human ritual. As she turned to leave, Ryan watched her walk away, her cloak flowing like light. He realized something important had just happened. Not in the words of the treaty, but in the small act of sharing warmth in a cold room. The war had started with fear and misunderstanding. Maybe peace would start with something smaller, trust over a cup of coffee. When he returned to his quarters, he poured himself another cup and sat by the small window. Outside, the ships of two civilizations floated in silence, both ready for battle, yet both waiting for a reason not to fight. He thought about the queen's calm face and the way she had smiled when she first tasted the drink. It was a start. Maybe a strange one, but a start all the same. For the first time in years, Ryan felt a quiet sense of hope. Peace did not begin with speeches or orders. Sometimes it began with a single human act of kindness. He lifted his cup toward the stars, as if toasting to the unknown future that awaited them both. The next morning came quietly. The station's artificial lights dimmed to mimic sunrise. Outside the viewing windows, Jupiter's red clouds spun endlessly, a reminder of how small every war seemed compared to the scale of the universe. Captain Ryan Hale stood in the meeting hall again, the same thermos of coffee in his hand. He waited before anyone else arrived, pouring himself a cup and breathing in the familiar scent. Today would be harder than yesterday. Words had been spoken, ideas shared, but no agreement had been made. Both sides still guarded their pride. Still, something had shifted between him and Queen Alira. It was small but real. She had accepted his offer once, and that meant a door had opened. The door to the hall slid open with a soft hum. The queen entered, her steps calm and steady. Her silver cloak brushed against the floor. Behind her walked several Valari advisors, silent and serious. The moment her gaze met Ryan's, her expression softened slightly. Good morning, Captain, she said. Ryan nodded. Good morning, Your Majesty. I have something ready for you. He lifted the cup he had prepared. She smiled faintly and walked to him, ignoring the whispers of her attendants. Taking the cup, she studied it for a moment before sipping. Her expression brightened. It tastes different today, she said. I changed the beans, Ryan explained. This one is from South America. A bit smoother, she nodded thoughtfully. Humans make many kinds of this drink? Hundreds, he said. Every region has its own flavor. Some people drink it to wake up, others to share moments with friends. She seemed to think deeply about that. So it is not just a drink. It is a connection. Ryan smiled. Exactly. You could say that coffee is our way of slowing down time. The queen took another sip. Around them, the Valari officials took their seats, watching carefully. The humans on the other side whispered among themselves, noticing the growing comfort between their two leaders. What had started as a simple courtesy was turning into something unexpected. The meeting began again. The Valari requested control of 3 disputed colonies near the neutral zone. The humans countered with offers of shared governance. Each side tried to appear strong, but Ryan noticed that Alira's tone was different. She no longer spoke like a ruler giving orders, but like a partner trying to find balance. Hours passed. Papers were displayed. Digital maps projected in midair. The words grew heated at times, but every time the tension rose, Ryan's calm voice broke through. "Let's focus on what matters," he said more than once. "We both want the fighting to stop. We both want people to go home." Alira looked at him each time he said it. He could tell she agreed. When the mid-session break came, most delegates left to rest. Ryan stayed behind, refilling his cup. To his surprise, the Queen did not leave either. She walked to the large viewing window where Jupiter's storms rolled like living oceans. "I used to think humans were cold," she said quietly. "You build machines, weapons, and walls. But now I see you also build warmth." Ryan joined her near the glass. "Maybe we're both misunderstood," he said. "Humans and Valari are not that different. You fight for your people. We do too." She turned toward him, her blue eyes steady. "Do you fight for duty or for hope?" Ryan took a slow breath. "For both. Duty keeps you standing when everything hurts. Hope reminds you why you should keep standing." Her gaze lingered on him, and for a moment neither spoke. The noise from the hall faded behind them. There was only the sound of machines humming softly in the walls. "I have never heard a soldier speak that way," she said. "Most think only of orders." "I stopped being that kind of soldier a long time ago," he said. "Too many orders cost too many lives." She looked away, her voice low. "You lost people you cared for." "Yes, we all did." Alira placed the empty coffee cup on the rail before the window. "In Valari culture, we do not share our drink with outsiders. It is a gesture meant only for family or trusted friends. Yesterday, I did not understand why I accepted yours. Today, I think I do." Ryan's brow lifted. "And why is that?" "Because for the first time in years, I met someone who did not try to impress me or fear me," she said. "You only offered something simple." "That made me curious," Ryan smiled slightly. "Curiosity is a good place to start." When the next round of talks began, the atmosphere was easier. Ryan noticed that the Valeri advisors no longer interrupted the Queen as often. The humans were more willing to listen. One of the interpreters even whispered that the Queen had begun using certain human phrases in her speech. It was small, but it meant progress. During one session, a Valeri commander questioned the Queen's leniency toward the humans. His tone was sharp, almost disrespectful. Ryan stayed silent, letting her handle it. Alira's eyes hardened. "Peace is not weakness," she said firmly. "It takes greater strength to stop fighting than to begin." The room went quiet. Even the human delegates nodded with respect. Ryan could not help but admire her. By the end of the day, they reached their first agreement. The Valari would release all human prisoners of war, and in return, Earth would withdraw its fleet from 3 occupied outposts. It was not the end, but it was a start. As the delegates applauded politely, Ryan noticed Alira watching him. She gave him a small nod, a silent message that said, "We did it together." Later that night, Ryan was invited to a private dinner with the Queen and her closest advisors. The table was round, not divided by sides this time. Valari food was strange but elegant. Bright colors, soft textures, and sweet aromas. Alira seemed more relaxed here, away from the cameras and guards. She leaned forward slightly. "I have been reading about your world. You have oceans, forests, deserts, so much variety in one planet." Ryan nodded. "Yes, it's what we love most. Every place feels alive in its own way. Do you miss it?" she asked. "Every day," he said. "The smell of rain, the sound of waves, even the cold wind. Out here, everything feels too clean." She listened quietly. "We Valari live on cities built above the clouds of our home world. We have not touched natural soil in generations. Maybe that is why your world fascinates me." He smiled. "Maybe you should visit Earth when this is all over." Her eyes brightened at the thought. "Perhaps I will. If peace holds, it will," he said. "We'll make sure it does." There was a pause. Then she asked, "Do humans always believe they can fix everything?" Ryan chuckled. "Not always. But we try anyway." She seemed amused by that answer. "That explains a lot about your people." When the dinner ended, Alira stood and thanked her guests. Before leaving, she turned to Ryan once more. "Tomorrow we discuss trade and security. It will be difficult. Come prepared." "I will," he said. She hesitated. "And bring your coffee," he grinned. "I wouldn't dare forget it." As she walked away, he realized how strange it was that something so small had changed so much. A few days ago, humans and Valari had been ready to destroy each other. Now their leaders were sharing meals, smiles, and trust. The following morning came with new tension. News had spread of the first agreement, and not everyone was pleased. Some Valari generals believed the Queen was growing too close to the humans. On the human side, certain officials accused Ryan of being too lenient. Still, he stood firm. Peace was not about pleasing everyone. It was about doing what was right. When the new session started, Ryan once again placed the thermos in front of him. As always, the Queen's eyes found it first. She smiled faintly before the discussions began. The topic today was trade rights and joint exploration zones. Voices rose again, but both leaders worked together to keep control. At one point, Alira asked Ryan to explain how humans built colonies on barren moons. He spoke of teamwork, of how people risked their lives to create something better for others. She listened with deep interest. When he finished, she said, "You speak of your people as if you are proud." "I am," Ryan replied. "We make mistakes, but we keep trying to grow. That's what makes us human." Alira nodded slowly. "Perhaps that is what makes you dangerous, too. You never stop pushing forward." "Maybe," Ryan said, "but it also means we never stop hoping." For a moment, her eyes softened again. She raised the cup of coffee he had poured for her earlier and said quietly, "Then let us hope together." By the end of the second day, another small victory was achieved. Both sides agreed to open communication lines for civilian transport and trade. It was not much, but each agreement built a stronger bridge. When Ryan returned to his quarters, he thought about everything that had happened. The Queen's laughter, her questions about Earth, her willingness to listen. He felt something new forming between them, something deeper than diplomacy. It was respect and perhaps even friendship. He looked out the window once more, watching Jupiter's storms swirl in endless motion. Peace was still far away, but for the first time he believed it was possible. And it all began with one shared cup of coffee between two worlds. The peace talks had entered their third week. The tension between humans and Valari had eased, but the air still carried the weight of uncertainty. The two sides had signed early agreements, yet many still doubted how long the peace would last. The smallest spark could still set the galaxy aflame again. Captain Ryan Hale felt that weight every day. Each meeting brought progress, but also whispers of distrust. He knew there were people on both sides who did not want peace. He just did not know how far they would go to stop it. On the morning of the 9th day, the station's alarms echoed through the halls. Red lights flashed, and the calm atmosphere turned to chaos. Ryan rushed to the command deck where human and Valari officers were shouting over each other. A human officer turned to him. "Captain, a Valari fleet has attacked one of our convoys near Titan Base. 3 ships destroyed, survivors picked up by our patrols." Ryan froze. "That cannot be right. The Queen promised no attacks during the talks." "It's confirmed," the officer said. The Valari insignia was clear. It came from the 7th War Fleet. Ryan knew the name. The 7th Fleet was loyal to Valari warlords, not directly under the Queen's control. This was not an accident. Someone wanted to destroy everything they had built. Within an hour, the peace conference fell apart. The human delegation demanded an explanation. The Valari advisors denied the attack, claiming it was a mistake or a rogue unit. But anger was rising fast. Ryan stood before the council table as the argument grew louder. "Everyone calm down," he said. "We need to talk to the Queen directly," one Valari general hissed in reply. "You think she will protect you now, human? Your ships have drawn blood. There can be no more peace." Before Ryan could respond, the doors opened. Queen Alira entered the hall, her expression calm but her steps sharp with purpose. The voices fell silent. She looked at Ryan first. "I received the report," she said. "I assure you this attack was not by my order." "Then who gave it?" Ryan asked. She turned toward her generals. "That is what I intend to find out." Her voice was quiet, yet every word carried strength. The generals lowered their heads. Ryan watched her closely. There was no sign of guilt, only determination. After the meeting ended, she asked to speak with him alone. They met in her private chamber aboard her flagship, a vast ship docked near the station. The walls shimmered with silver light and a faint hum filled the air. "I believe someone inside my command acted without permission," she said. "They want to end these talks and push me to war." Ryan crossed his arms. "Then we have the same enemies. People who fear peace more than death. She nodded. If I do not act quickly, my council will turn against me. I need to prove that I still control my fleets. He hesitated. How can I help? Her gaze softened. You trust me more than your own diplomats do. I need someone who will believe me even when my people doubt me. Will you come aboard my ship while I investigate? That would look suspicious to your council, he said. Then let them be suspicious, she replied. If I am to save this peace, I cannot do it alone. Ryan agreed. He sent a short message to his commanders, saying he would represent Earth in an emergency discussion with the Volari leader. The truth was simpler. He was going to stand beside her. The Queen's ship, Radiant Crown, was enormous, built from crystal metal and blue light. Inside, the crew bowed as she passed. Ryan followed her through long corridors that pulsed with gentle energy. Despite their fear of humans, none dared question her choice. They reached the command bridge. Screens showed the positions of Volari fleets scattered across space. The 7th Fleet, the one responsible for the attack, was now gathering near a border system. They are ignoring my orders, Alira said quietly. Their leader, Lord Varric, believes peace will weaken our empire. He has allies in the council. If I do not stop him now, the war will restart. Ryan studied the data. Then we stop him together. Her eyes met his. If you stay, you risk your life. Once we face him, he will see you as my ally. He gave a steady nod. Then let him see it. They moved to the ship's war room, where a small group of loyal Valerie officers waited. Alira's command voice echoed clearly as she gave her orders. The Radiant Crown would travel to intercept the rogue fleet. Communication lines were cut to prevent leaks. As they prepared to leave, one of her advisors whispered, Your Majesty, if this fails, they will call it treason. She replied, If I do nothing, it will be betrayal to every soul who wants peace. When the ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, the stars stretched into streaks of light. Ryan stood beside her, watching silently. He had fought many battles, but this felt different. It was not about land or pride. It was about trust. Hours later, they arrived at the edge of the Titan border. Dozens of Volari ships appeared on the radar, forming a blockade. The 7th Fleet waited like wolves around their prey. A message came through. The image of Lord Varric filled the screen. He was tall, his armor marked with crimson symbols. His voice was sharp and cold. You should not have come, Alira. The Empire needs strength, not softness. These humans cannot be trusted. Alira's voice remained calm. You attacked under my banner. You dishonored your oath. I acted for our people, Varric said. You are blinded by their tricks. End this peace, or I will take your crown. Ryan stepped forward. You talk about strength, but strength without control is destruction. She is trying to save your people. Varric glared. A human speaking for our queen? You insult us further. Alira raised a hand. Enough. Stand down, or I will remove you myself. Varric laughed. Then you will die with your new friend. The line cut off. His fleet began to charge weapons. Ryan turned to Alira. We cannot outgun them. I know, she said. But we can outthink them. She ordered her ship to broadcast a live signal to all Volari ships in the area. Her voice carried across every screen. I am your queen. The peace with humanity is not surrender. It is survival. I have seen the humans. They are not our enemies. If you fire today, you fire on your own people. The bridge was silent. Then Ryan stepped beside her, speaking into the same channel. I am Captain Ryan Hale of Earth. I fought against you for years. I saw what war did to both our sides. I came here because I believe in her. I believe she wants a future where none of us have to bury another soldier. The broadcast spread through every ship. Across the fleet, hesitation rippled. Crews looked at each other, uncertain. Lord Varric shouted new orders, demanding fire, but many captains refused. Some powered down their weapons. Others turned their ships slightly away. Seeing the hesitation, Alira acted. She ordered the Radiant Crown to move forward, alone between the two fleets. Her voice carried one more command. If you still serve the Empire, stand down and follow me. Slowly, one by one, the ships obeyed. Varric's fleet began to shrink as his support crumbled. His ship turned to retreat. Target engines only, Alira said. Disable him. No deaths. A quick blast of blue energy struck Varric's ship, sending it drifting powerless into space. The crisis was over. When the tension finally broke, Ryan exhaled in relief. You did it? No, Alira said softly. We did it, the news spread fast. Across the Valari Empire and Earth, the message of unity echoed. Both sides saw the image of a human standing beside an alien queen as fleets turned away from war. For the first time, people believed peace might truly hold. Later, when the Radiant Crown docked again at the station, crowds gathered to see them return. The diplomats, once doubtful, now greeted them with respect. Alira looked at Ryan. "You risked everything by standing beside me." He smiled. "I only did what I thought was right." She studied him with quiet admiration. "Your kind never stop surprising me. You fight, but you also heal." Ryan lifted his thermos. "Maybe it is time for another cup of coffee." "We both earned it." The Queen nodded with a gentle smile. "Then let us share it, Captain. For peace and for what comes next." As they sat together once more, the air felt lighter. Outside the station, the fleets of two worlds floated side by side. The danger had passed, but a new story was just beginning. And in that moment, surrounded by stars, a queen and a human soldier shared the first quiet peace their people had ever known. The crisis with the Seventh Fleet had passed, but the room for error was still small. Both sides now understood that peace was not merely a document, it was fragile trust. The atmosphere on the station remained tense, but there was also cautious optimism. Humanity and the Valari were learning how to coexist, if only slowly. Captain Ryan Hale walked to the conference hall early. His mind replayed the events of the past weeks. One wrong move could undo everything. Yet he also knew something important. Trust could be stronger than fear if nurtured carefully. He poured himself a cup of coffee, the familiar warmth calming his nerves. The Queen arrived not long after, her silver cloak moving smoothly as she entered. Her blue eyes met his, and for a moment there was silence. Every delegate waited, sensing the connection between them. "Captain," she said quietly, "today we finish this. We sign the treaty." Ryan nodded. "I hope it is the beginning of something more than words." Alira smiled faintly. "It must be more. Our peoples will judge us not by speeches, but by what we do next." The meeting began formally. Delegates presented final points: trade rights, joint defense zones, cultural exchanges, and borders. Every detail had been argued for days. Yet Ryan noticed that Alira's approach was different this time. She listened, asked questions, and sought solutions that were fair rather than simply advantageous. At one point, a human delegate suggested a minor amendment to the trade agreement. Alira studied the document, then looked at Ryan. "Do you trust this amendment?" she asked softly. Ryan paused. "I trust that it will help both sides, yes." She nodded and returned her attention to the council. This small act, asking for his opinion, was symbolic. It was the start of partnership beyond politics. Hours passed, and the final treaty was drafted. Every line was scrutinized, and every sentence agreed upon by both sides. Finally, it came time for the ceremonial signing. The room was vast, lined with Valari banners and human symbols. The table in the center was long and polished, reflecting the lights above. The delegates watched in silence. In Valari tradition, any treaty of great importance must be sealed not only by signatures, but also by a symbolic act of bond between the leaders. This bond was usually between Valari themselves, a joining of responsibility, trust, and unity. No human had ever been part of such a ceremony. Alira turned toward Ryan. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried a weight that no words could capture. "I intend to bond with you," she said. The room froze. Delegates whispered, their translators working frantically to repeat her words accurately. Humans were stunned. Valari were confused. Some looked uneasy. The Queen's advisors tried to object, but she silenced them with a wave of her hand. Ryan blinked. "Bond with me?" "Yes," she said. "You have stood by me, proven your courage, and shared in my vision of peace. I trust you. The treaty will be sealed through this bond." He hesitated, understanding the significance. Among the Valari, a bond was not just political. It was a personal joining, a vow that carried meaning far beyond words. Accepting it meant showing equal responsibility, loyalty, and connection. I accept," Ryan said finally. His voice was steady, though his heart raced. He understood that refusing would insult her and the people she led. Alira nodded. "Then let us begin." The ceremonial space shifted subtly. Light flowed from the floor, wrapping around their hands as they reached toward each other. A soft hum resonated in the air. Delegates watched in awe. When their hands touched, a bond formed, a connection that was felt more than seen. A warm energy flowed between them, not violent or overwhelming, but steady and real. Ryan felt a sense of clarity. He understood her thoughts, her commitment to peace, and the deep weight of leadership she carried. In return, Alira could sense his honesty, his care for both humans and Valari, and his willingness to take risks for the greater good. When the bond completed, a soft glow surrounded them for a brief moment before fading. The treaty was now fully active. Across the galaxy, communication systems registered the event. Humanity and the Valari were officially partners, allies in peace, and co-guardians of the future. The delegates erupted in applause. The humans cheered quietly, respectful of the ceremony, while the Valari showed their approval in subtle gestures of head bows and lowered stances. The room was filled with a mixture of relief, pride, and awe. After the ceremony, Alira led Ryan to a quiet balcony overlooking the station's view of Jupiter. The planet's storms swirled beneath them, a reminder that the universe was still immense and unpredictable. "You have done more than I expected, Captain," Alira said. "You could have left at any time, yet you stood with me. Not as a soldier, but as a partner." Ryan smiled. "I did what anyone would do if they believed in someone. I only hoped it was enough." She studied him, her expression softening. "It is more than enough. More than anyone could have hoped for. You have shown that humanity is not merely capable of war, but also capable of understanding, courage, and trust." He shook his head lightly. "I could not have done it alone. You led the people, made the decisions. I just stood beside you." She turned toward him, her glowing eyes steady. "Sometimes standing beside someone is the hardest part. You risked more than I could ask. That is why I chose you." Ryan felt a weight lift from him. He had come here expecting negotiations, fear, and diplomacy. Instead, he found connection, respect, and even friendship with a queen who had once seemed untouchable. The days that followed were filled with preparation for the implementation of the treaty. Ryan stayed close to Alira, advising her on human concerns and learning about Valari governance. Together, they navigated the delicate balance of trust and politics. The Valari people began to notice the bond between their queen and the human captain. At first, there were murmurs and skepticism. Could a human truly be part of their leadership? Could peace last if one side trusted an outsider so completely? Alira addressed the council and the people directly. "This bond is not a concession. It is a choice made to ensure our future. The human beside me has proven his courage, wisdom, and heart. Let this bond be a symbol of the peace we all seek." Slowly, acceptance grew. Humans began to understand Valari customs, and the Valari began to respect human determination. Bridges were built not of stone or steel, but of trust and shared experience. One evening, Ryan brewed coffee for himself and the Queen as he had done since their first meeting. They sat together in quiet conversation, overlooking the planet below. "You know," Alira said, "I never expected peace to feel like this. I thought it would be tense, formal, filled with rules and threats." Ryan handed her a cup. "Sometimes peace starts with small gestures. A smile, a cup of coffee, a shared moment." She laughed softly. "Perhaps that is why I trusted you. Not because of your strength or rank, but because you were simple, honest, and human." Ryan raised his cup. "To the future, then." "And to peace," Alira raised hers in return. "And to the bonds we create, even across worlds." Outside, the stars shone brightly. The station floated silently, a neutral witness to history. Within its walls, two leaders had chosen connection over fear, understanding over suspicion, and hope over despair. For the first time in decades, humanity and Valari could truly look toward tomorrow. Not as enemies, but as partners. Not as strangers, but as allies who had learned to trust and respect each other. And at the center of it all, a queen and a human captain shared a bond stronger than words. Stronger than treaties, and stronger than fear. It was a bond that promised not only peace but a future built together hand in hand.